Welcome to Debt Matters.
Glad to be here.
Today we're looking at something really specific. It's B2B finance, but narrowed right down.
Yeah, the title says it all. Roofing manufacturer debt recovery strategies.
Exactly. And when you see something that precise, you immediately wonder, why? Why does this specific combination, roofing manufacturing and getting paid, need its own dedicated approach?
It's quite revealing, isn't it?
Yeah.
The fact that this niche gets this level of attention tells you something straight away.
What's that?
That the standard ways of collecting business debt, well, they probably don't cut it here.
Right.
There must be particular challenges in this area, challenges tied, I suppose, to the way the construction industry works.
Okay, so let's explore that. What is it about the roofing industry's cycle? From making the shingles or the metal roofing,
Yeah, the raw materials.
getting them shipped and then finally put on a roof by a contractor. Where does the payment recovery get so complex?
Well, first off, you're dealing with manufacturers. That means high volumes of materials.
Okay, big orders.
Big orders, and roofing materials aren't cheap. They're durable goods, a major cost component in any building project. So the amounts owed are often quite large.
Much bigger than typical invoices for, say, services.
Generally, yes. So the stakes are higher from the outset for the manufacturer. Then you layer on the B2B complexity,
Which involves?
things like complex contracts, very long payment cycles sometimes, and crucially, relationships. The manufacturer deals with distributors maybe, or directly with contractors.
Who then deal with the building owner.
Exactly, it's a chain. And collecting debt across that chain is way harder than just chasing one customer for one bill. Standard consumer collection tactics, they just don't apply effectively.
Okay, that makes sense. So what are the typical hurdles? Is it usually just, the contractor doesn't want to pay? Or is it more tangled than that?
Oh, it's almost never that simple in construction.
Right.
Usually, the payment holdup is tied to something further down the line, maybe a dispute about the quality of the materials once they're delivered. Or maybe project delays happen, bad weather, labor shortages, things that have zero to do with the roofing manufacturer themselves.
But the contractor's payment from the owner might be held up because of those delays.
Precisely. And if the contractor isn't getting paid, the payment schedule back to the manufacturer just stops. Dead in the water.
So the manufacturer did their part, delivered the goods, but now they're stuck because of a dispute between the contractor and the property owner.
That's a very common scenario, yes. It's fundamentally different from chasing a simple overdue invoice where the obligation is clear-cut.
Okay.
And that's where specific documentation becomes so critical. Sending a standard reminder letter, it doesn't get to the heart of the problem. Which is figuring out why the payment stopped. Is it really about the materials? That's the manufacturer's responsibility. Or is it about the installation, the labor? That's the contractor's side.
Got it. So the recovery strategy has to figure that out first.
Absolutely. Before you even think about how to collect, you need to know where the actual liability rests.
That really raises the stakes, especially since, as you mentioned, these manufacturers often rely on repeat business. They have relationships with these contractors.
Yes, that's key.
So if they go in too hard trying to get their money,
they risk burning that bridge. Getting the cash today might mean losing a valuable customer for tomorrow.
which brings us to the strategies part of the title. How do these specialized strategies manage that balancing act? Getting paid versus keeping the customer.
It is a balancing act, a very delicate one. Effective strategies here have to be tiered. You can't just jump to threats or lawsuits.
So what's step one?
Step one is usually about sophisticated communication, understanding the contractor's position. Is this a real dispute over performance, or is it a temporary cash flow crunch for them?
How do you tell?
Through careful negotiation, asking the right questions, maybe offering solutions before escalating, things like adjusted payment plans, perhaps short extensions. It's about showing you understand the pressures they might be under.
Because that's a relationship business.
Exactly. The strategy has to reflect the nature of the industry. You lead with collaboration if possible.
Okay, makes sense. Like a surgical approach, not a blunt instrument. But what if that collaborative approach fails? What's the main tool a manufacturer has to actually secure the debt without completely torching the relationship or the market reputation? It can't just be going to court, right?
Court is usually the last resort. The most powerful point of leverage specific to this industry is often the mechanic's lien.
Liens, okay.
And this is why you absolutely need specialized knowledge. It's not straightforward.
Can you explain what a lien actually does in this context? For a lot of people, it just sounds like a legal threat.
It's much more concrete than just a threat. It fundamentally changes the nature of the debt.
How so?
Okay, so when a manufacturer supplies materials, say shingles that get physically incorporated into someone's private property, a mechanic lien, if filed correctly and on time,
Hmm.
gives that manufacturer a security interest in the property itself. The value of the materials they supplied is now essentially collateralized by the real estate.
Wow, okay. So it ties the debt directly to the building.
Correct. Now think about what happens if they don't file that lien or file it too late.
What happens?
They become an unsecured creditor, just like any other supplier owed money.
That's bad because,
Because if the contractor goes bankrupt or the property owner has financial trouble, the unsecured creditors are at the back of the line. Their chances of getting paid, especially large amounts, plummet.
right.
A properly filed lien potentially moves the manufacturer way up that line. It turns unsecured debt into secured debt.
That distinction, secured versus unsecured, feels absolutely critical.
It is. It dictates the real leverage you have.
And that explains the need for specialization right there.
But aren't the rules for filing these liens pretty standard, like everywhere?
Not at all. And that's another layer of complexity, especially for a manufacturer who might be shipping materials across state lines.
Lien sols vary massively, state by state, sometimes even county by county. The rules cover everything: what paperwork you need, who you have to officially notify, like the property owner,
Okay.
and maybe most importantly, the deadlines.
Deadlines for filing.
Yes, and they can be incredibly short. Sometimes just 60 or 90 days after the last date materials were delivered to that specific job site.
Wow, that's not long at all.
It's not. Miss that deadline by even 1 day and your lien rights can be completely extinguished. Poof, you're unsecured.
So successful debt recovery here isn't just about making collection calls. It's about meticulous, proactive, legal compliance that has to start almost as soon as the truck leaves the warehouse.
You've got it. It's process-driven from the very beginning. And wait, there's another wrinkle. We've been talking about private property homes, commercial buildings, but what if the roofing materials were for a public project? A school, a government building?
Can you put a lien on a school?
Generally, no. You can't lien public property.
So the manufacturer has no leverage then.
They have a different kind of leverage, but it requires knowing another set of rules. Instead of a lien, they usually have to make a claim against something called a payment bond.
A payment bond.
Yeah, it's basically an insurance policy or guarantee that the prime contractor on a public job is required to post. It guarantees that subcontractors and suppliers, like our roofing manufacturer, will get paid.
Okay.
But making a claim against that bond involves totally different procedures, different paperwork, and different deadlines than filing a mechanic's lien. A specialized strategy needs to handle both private liens and public bond claims.
Okay, this is really painting a picture. These recovery teams, they need to be experts in logistics, contract law, state-specific lien deadlines, public bond claims. It's a lot.
It is. They need that blend of skills. The legal knowledge is non-negotiable.
Right.
Then there's the documentation rigor. Every delivery slip, every change order, every warranty notice, it all has to be tracked meticulously because that paperwork forms the basis of any claim, whether it's a lien or a bond claim.
And the negotiation part we talked about earlier.
Still crucial. But it's negotiation informed by that legal and documentary strength. They need to speak the language of construction finance. Avoid generic, aggressive collection talk.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say a contractor is genuinely struggling with cash flow on a project. Instead of just demanding full payment now, a specialized agent might understand the leverage they have with a potential lien.
Okay.
So they might propose something like, look, pay us 70% within 10 days, and we'll agree not to file the lien on this particular property right now.
Using the leverage strategically.
Exactly. It gets the manufacturer most of their money quickly, helps the contractor manage their immediate cash flow, and preserves the relationship, potentially. It's about using those legal rights as precise tools, not just as hammers.
That really clarifies the nuance involved. It's not about brute force. It's about targeted pressure based on deep industry knowledge.
That's a good way to put it.
So, thinking about our listeners, what does all this mean for you? Even if roofing materials aren't your business, there's a wider point here, isn't there?
I think so.
Seeing that such a specific field requires this level of tailored strategy, it really highlights how important customized financial approaches can be whenever you're dealing with, say, complex supply chains or physical goods or business models built on long-term relationships.
Yeah, the standard off-the-shelf financial processes often just miss the unique leverage points or risks within a particular industry.
They can't capture what's specific to how your product or service gets delivered and paid for.
Right. The very fact that these specialized roofing manufacturer debt recovery strategies exist tells you that generic B2B collection methods often fall short when payment depends on third-party actions or project milestones, or when large sums are tied up in tangible assets like building materials.
You need something more specific.
You need that industry-specific leverage. Maybe it is a lien or a bond claim, like in construction.
Hmm.
Maybe in another industry, it's about enforcing specific IP rights or using clauses in equipment leases. You have to know your industry's pressure points to secure revenue effectively.
It's a strong lesson in maybe financial engineering for your specific context, which leads to a final thought for you to consider.
Mm.
If getting paid requires this level of specialization in just one area like roofing, what specialized financial tools or legal rights or leverage points exist within your own industry or your supply chain that maybe you haven't fully identified or utilized yet?
That's a great question.
Think about where your own payment chain is most vulnerable. Where could specific knowledge, maybe about contracts or regulations or even industry norms, become your most effective protection? It's worth exploring.